The crystalline vessel hung silently at the edge of Earth's solar system, its transparent surfaces refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Inside, senior observer Zenith above clouds conducted their daily analysis of humanity's activities, their form shifting between shades of blue and gold as they processed the incoming data streams. The observation post had been carefully positioned in the shadow of a distant Kuiper Belt object, though Zenith knew the precaution was likely unnecessary. Human detection technology, while advancing rapidly, hadn't yet reached the level where they could spot a luminary stealth vessel. Still, protocol demanded discretion, and after 10,000 years of peaceful observation, the luminary didn't maintain their status by being careless. Zenith's attention focused on a curious scene unfolding in one of Earth's largest cities. A group of humans was conducting what they called a rescue drill, using advanced machinery to extract people from a simulated disaster. What fascinated Zenith was not the technology, which was primitive by luminary standards, but the dedication with which the humans approached their task. Most peculiar, Zenith recorded in their daily log, their thoughts translating into pulses of light within the ship's crystal matrix. They prepare for catastrophes with the same intensity with which other species prepare for expansion or conquest. Yet these preparations serve no purpose except to preserve life. A notification pulsed through the ship's consciousness, drawing Zenith's attention to another feed. This one showed a human military vessel escorting a civilian transport ship through a sector known for stellar storms. The military crew had diverted from their original course by several hours simply to ensure the transport's safe passage. The Luminary Council had set Zenith to study humanity's military capabilities, concerned about the species' potential for violence. Yet after 3 months of observation, Zenith found themselves documenting something entirely different. Humans maintained their defensive capabilities not out of aggression, but out of what they called responsibility. Zenith shifted their focus to a series of historical records, their crystalline form rippling with interest as they reviewed footage from humanity's first encounters with natural disasters after achieving spaceflight. Where other species might have abandoned struggling colonies, humans consistently sent rescue missions, even when success seemed impossible. The ship's sensors detected an incoming transmission from the Council. Zenith composed themselves, their forms settling into a formal geometric pattern as the communication crystal activated. Senior observer, the Council elder's voice resonated through the chamber. Your latest reports have caused some concern. You speak of human military forces, yet you classify them as protective rather than aggressive. Please clarify. Zenith pulsed thoughtfully before responding. Respected elder, I observe a species that defies our traditional classifications. They maintain weapons, yes, but watch how they use them. Zenith transmitted a series of recordings. Human ships shooting down meteors that threatened civilian stations, military units deploying to disaster zones, defense forces conducting search and rescue operations. They are warriors, Zenith continued, who spend most of their time saving lives rather than taking them. Their military exists not to conquer, but to preserve. This contradicts all known patterns of species development, the elder noted, their tone carrying waves of uncertainty. Yes, Zenith agreed, their form brightening with excitement. That is precisely what makes them so fascinating. They prepare for the worst while striving for the best. In all our observations across the galaxy, we have never seen this combination. The elder was silent for a long moment. Continue your observations, senior observer. The Council requires more data before making any determinations. As the transmission ended, Zenith turned their attention back to Earth. On one of their observation feeds, a human rescue ship was changing course to answer a distress call, despite dangerous conditions. The humans had a phrase for this, Zenith recalled, above and beyond. Perhaps they mused, that concept held the key to understanding this puzzling species. The attack came without warning. Haven Colony's morning sky transformed from peaceful blue to an ominous dark as Vorax warships dropped out of hyperspace, their angular black hulls blotting out the sun. Zenith's observation crystals captured the moment in perfect clarity. The sudden silence of civilian communication channels, the rising wail of emergency sirens, and the immediate response of Haven's defense force. Fascinating. Zenith recorded their form pulsing with both concern and interest. No panic in the command structure. Their emergency protocols activated within seconds of detection. The Vorax had chosen their timing well. Haven Colony was celebrating its 5th anniversary of foundation, with thousands of off-world visitors present for the festivities. Among them were numerous refugee species who had found sanctuary under human protection. The gentle floaters of the Carina Nebula, scholarly meridians, and even a small group of crystalline beings who had fled their dying star. Conventional wisdom suggested that humans would prioritize their own evacuation. The Vorax, notorious for their strategic precision, had clearly counted on this assumption. They positioned their heaviest warships to cut off the main escape vectors to Earth, leaving only a narrow corridor toward the system's asteroid belt. What happened next would change Zenith's understanding of humanity forever. Haven's defense fleet split into 3 groups. The smallest engaged the Vorax directly, their outdated ships flying with surprising precision. The second group began herding civilian ships toward what appeared to be empty space. The third and largest portion of the fleet formed a protective wall between the civilian evacuation route and the approaching Vorax forces. Priority override, the Haven Defense Command's transmission cut through all channels. All civilian ships proceed to emergency coordinates. Non-human residents first. I repeat, non-human residents first. Zenith's recording crystals vibrated with disbelief. The humans were prioritizing the evacuation of their alien guests over their own people. More incredibly, there was no dissent, no argument from the human civilians who were asked to wait. The battle unfolded with desperate intensity. The first group of human ships launched a series of unconventional attacks, using mining charges and debris to create navigation hazards for the larger Vorax vessels. The second group's purpose became clear as a hidden hyperspace beacon activated, revealing a pre-planned escape route. The third group paid the heaviest price, absorbing punishment meant for the evacuation ships. "We need 3 more minutes." A human commander's voice crackled through the static. "Third Fleet, hold position." "Confirmed, command." "Third Fleet acknowledging." "We'll give you 5. Zenith observed as the Third Fleet ships took devastating hits but maintained their protective formation. The crystalline beings, traditionally known for their cautious nature, were among the first evacuated. Zenith recorded their departure alongside a curious observation. Several of the crystal beings were singing their resonant frequencies, carrying what Zenith recognized as psalms of gratitude. When the last civilian ship cleared the system, the remaining human vessels executed a fighting retreat that seemed to have been extensively practiced. They left behind automated drones that continued to harass the Vorax, buying precious time for the evacuees to reach safety. The final transmission from Haven's surface came from the Defense Command bunker. "All civilians clear." Repeat, "all civilians clear." Haven Defense Force signing off. See you at the rally point. The message carried no trace of bitter defeat or despair. Instead, there was pride in a successful evacuation against overwhelming odds. In the aftermath, Zenith compiled their report for the Council with uncharacteristic urgency. Their usual methodical analysis was punctuated with direct observations. The humans had lost a colony but saved every civilian, alien and human alike. They had demonstrated not just military skill, but a fundamental dedication to protecting all sentient life, regardless of origin. Most significantly, Zenith noted in their conclusion, they never hesitated. The decision to protect others at their own expense appears to be deeply ingrained in their operational doctrine. This raises an important question. How many other species in our galaxy maintain the capability for warfare, not for conquest or resources, but for the defense of all? In the aftermath of the Haven Colony evacuation, Zenith above clouds retreated to the protected archives of their crystalline vessel. The ship's memory matrices hummed with activity as they began a deep analysis of human historical records, searching for patterns that might explain what they had witnessed. The first records they examined dated back to humanity's early space age. A small research station had suffered catastrophic damage from micrometeorites. Instead of abandoning the facility as a total loss, 3 separate rescue missions launched within hours of each other, each carrying different emergency supplies and equipment. The nations involved had been political rivals, yet they coordinated seamlessly to save the station's crew. Computer, expand search parameters, Zenith commanded, their form shifting to a deep blue of concentration. Show all instances of human rescue operations involving significant risk to the rescuers. The archive crystals pulsed with thousands of records. Zenith observed footage of humans rushing into burning buildings to save strangers, diving into turbulent waters to rescue trapped sailors, and venturing into collapsed mines to extract injured workers. Each incident demonstrated the same peculiar characteristic: humans willingly risking their lives to save others, often with no apparent benefit to themselves. A particular incident caught their attention. During humanity's first attempts at terraforming, a colony dome had failed on a hostile world. The local rescue ships were undergoing maintenance, unable to launch. Instead of accepting the loss, the humans had repurposed a mining vessel, stripping it down and rebuilding it for atmospheric entry in less than 6 hours. The improvised rescue craft succeeded in saving the colonists, though the strain of the operation left it permanently damaged. Cross-reference with military activities during peaceful periods, Zenith instructed. The resulting data painted an unexpected picture. Human military forces spent the majority of their time on non-combat operations: disaster relief, search and rescue, scientific escort, and humanitarian aid. More fascinating still were the training protocols. Human military academies didn't just teach combat tactics. They emphasized ethical decision-making, crisis management, and the protection of civilian life. Their highest military honors were often awarded not for victories in battle, but for acts of sacrifice to save others. Zenith's crystalline form rippled with excitement as they transmitted their findings to the council. Respected elders, I believe we have fundamentally misunderstood human military development. Their capability for warfare appears to be a secondary adaptation evolved from a more primary instinct: the drive to protect. The Council's response was skeptical, yet their history contains numerous conflicts. Yes, Zenith acknowledged accessing more recent records, but observe their development. Each major conflict has led not to increased militarization, but to improved systems for preventing future wars. They maintain strength not to dominate, but to deter those who would harm others. The evidence continued to accumulate. Zenith found records of human peacekeeping forces protecting refugee convoys, military ships escorting civilian science expeditions, and defense platforms being used to track dangerous stellar phenomena. Each discovery reinforced their growing theory. A particularly striking example emerged from a deep space mining accident. A human military vessel had diverted from its patrol route after detecting distress signals from a damaged alien mining ship. The rescue required the military ship to drain its fuel reserves, leaving it stranded until help arrived. When questioned about the decision, the human commander's response was illuminating. The risk to our ship was certain. The death of the miners was equally certain if we didn't help. That makes it a simple choice. Simple, Zenith recorded in their personal observations, their form pulsing with gentle amusement. They called such a profound ethical decision simple. Perhaps that, more than anything, reveals their true nature. As Zenith compiled their latest report, they included a cautionary note: we must reevaluate our assumptions about military capability among emerging species. The humans have demonstrated that the capacity for warfare and the desire for peace are not mutually exclusive. Instead, they may represent two aspects of a more complex imperative: the determination to ensure the safety of all sentient life. The pattern emerged from an unexpected source. Zenith had been analyzing stellar cartography data, tracking the movement of various species across the galaxy, when their navigation system highlighted an anomaly. The Vorax attack on Haven Colony wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a much larger pattern that had gone unnoticed for centuries. Display all known Vorax military encounters over the past 1,000 years, Zenith commanded. The ship's crystalline displays illuminated with a web of light, each point marking a conflict. At first glance, the pattern seemed random, but when overlaid with species migration data, a chilling truth emerged. The Vorax weren't expanding their territory. They were hunting. Zenith's form pulsed rapidly as they cross-referenced the data with their species database. Every Vorax target shared common characteristics: peaceful societies, limited military capability, advanced cultural or technological achievements. The Meridians, known for their bioengineering expertise. The Floaters, masters of atmospheric manipulation. The Crystal Collective, pioneers in quantum communication. Computer, project likely Vorax expansion without human presence, Zenith requested. The display shifted, showing probable attack vectors. A cold realization washed over them. The luminary homeworld lay directly in one of those paths. Only the human-controlled sectors of space stood between the Vorax and countless peaceful civilizations. A memory crystal from the Haven evacuation caught their attention. Zenith had recorded a curious exchange between a human commander and a Vorax communication. "You could have saved yourselves," the Vorax had taunted. The human's response now carried new meaning. "We did save ourselves. We saved who we are." Zenith began compiling emergency reports for the Council, their usual methodical approach giving way to urgent revelation. The data streams crystallized into undeniable conclusions. The Vorax specifically targeted species that couldn't or wouldn't fight back. They avoided direct confrontation with militarily capable civilizations, preferring to prey on those they deemed weak. Analysis of human border regions, Zenith dictated, their form shimmering with intensity. Display all known refugee settlements and peaceful species colonies. The map illuminated with countless points of light, each representing communities that had found safety in the shadow of human protection. Whether by design or instinct, humanity had created safe havens throughout their territory. A transmission from a human defense outpost interrupted their analysis. The outpost was coordinating with a group of refugee ships, guiding them through a safe corridor. The human officers spoke calmly, professionally, showing no sign that they recognize the profound importance of their actions. They don't even realize, Zenith recorded in their personal log. They've become the guardians of peace without ever intending it. Their very presence creates zones where peaceful species can thrive without fear. Further analysis revealed more subtle patterns. The Vorax consistently probed human borders, but rarely engaged in direct conflict. They tested defenses, analyzed responses, and, most telling, always withdrew when faced with significant resistance. They weren't conquerors seeking glory in battle. They were predators seeking easy prey. Zenith transmitted their findings to the Luminary Council with unprecedented urgency. "Respected elders, we have gravely misunderstood the structure of our galaxy. We believed peace could be maintained through passive observation and non-interference. We were wrong. Peace exists in our region of space because humanity stands ready to defend it." The Council's response was immediate. "This conclusion contradicts 10,000 years of luminary philosophy." Yes, Zenith acknowledged, their form steady with conviction. "Because for 10,000 years, we failed to recognize a fundamental truth. Peace is not merely the absence of conflict. Sometimes, peace must be protected. Humanity understood this instinctively, while we took millennia to see it." As if to underscore their discovery, Zenith's sensors detected a human patrol fleet escorting a convoy of refugee ships. The humans had no treaties obligating this protection, no diplomatic agreements requiring their aid. They simply provided it, asking nothing in return except the opportunity to help others live in peace. The grand chamber of the Luminary Council sparkled with the combined light of 1,000 crystalline forms. Zenith above clouds stood at the center, their evidence displayed in intricate patterns of light and shadow that danced through the chamber's prismatic walls. What you suggest, the first elder's voice resonated through the chamber, would overturn 10 millennia of luminary tradition. We are observers, not participants. This is how we have maintained peace. Zenith's form shifted to a deep blue of certainty. With respect, First Elder, we have maintained our peace because others stood guard while we watched. The data is irrefutable. Their presentation shifted to show the pattern of Vorax attacks, a spreading darkness held at bay by human-controlled space. The Second Elder's crystalline form pulsed with concern. The humans are young, volatile. Their history contains violence. Yes, Zenith acknowledged, projecting images from their research. But observe how they use that capacity. The chamber filled with recordings, human ships forming protective barriers around refugee convoys, military vessels responding to distress calls, defense platforms repurposed as early warning systems for natural disasters. The debate crystals chimed, signaling the council members' right to speak. We cannot abandon our principles of non-interference, one member argued. It would change everything we are. Perhaps, Zenith responded, their form steady. Everything we are needs to change. The galaxy is not what we thought it was. The Vorax prey on peaceful species precisely because they know we will not interfere. The chamber erupted in a cascade of light as council members transmitted their opinions simultaneously. Some supported Zenith's conclusions, others recoiled from them. The First Elder raised their form, calling for order. Even if we accept your analysis, the First Elder stated, what would you have us do? We have no weapons, no military expertise. Zenith was about to respond when an emergency transmission cut through the chamber's protective fields. The message came from their long-range monitoring network. A massive Vorax fleet had assembled. Their trajectory pointed directly toward Earth. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Earth was humanity's homeworld, their most populous planet, their cultural and military heart. If it fell, the protective barrier that had sheltered so many peaceful species would collapse. They mean to end it. Zenith's voice carried through the stillness. The Vorax have realized that humanity stands between them and countless vulnerable civilizations. They seek to remove that obstacle. The Council watched in real time as human defense fleets mobilized. Ships from every human colony converged on Earth, preparing to defend their homeworld. But the numbers were clear. The Vorax fleet was larger than any force they had previously revealed. We stand at a crossroads, Zenith continued, their form glowing with intensity. We can maintain our traditional neutrality and watch as the Vorax destroy the species that has unknowingly protected us all. Or we can acknowledge that true peace requires more than observation. It requires action. The Second Elder's form shifted uncertainly. What could we possibly offer? We have no weapons. We have something far more valuable, Zenith responded. We have technology that could save lives. Defensive systems, healing capabilities, faster than light travel beyond anything humanity has achieved. We can help them protect not just themselves, but everyone. The chamber erupted again in debate. 10,000 years of tradition weighed against Zenith's evidence. The First Elder called for an immediate vote, an unprecedented action in luminary history. As the council members prepared to make their decision, another transmission arrived. The human defense forces had detected the approaching Vorax fleet. Instead of retreating or consolidating their forces around Earth, they were spreading out, establishing defensive positions to protect their neighboring systems, including several luminary observation posts. Even knowing the odds against them, even facing their greatest threat, humanity's first instinct was still to protect others. The First Elder's form pulsed once, commanding attention. We must decide now. Will we remain mere observers in a galaxy that burns, or will we help those who have always helped others? The sight of luminary ships descending through Earth's atmosphere created a moment of breathtaking beauty. Their crystalline vessels caught the sunlight, casting rainbow patterns across the sky over every major city. Human defense forces tracked their approach with a mixture of wonder and wariness, but held their fire. These ships were unlike anything in their threat database. Zenith above clouds led the diplomatic delegation, their form radiating calm as they materialized in the United Earth Defense Command Center. The human leaders had assembled quickly, their efficiency impressive, even in the face of the unprecedented. "We come to help," Zenith announced, their crystalline form projecting images of the approaching Vorax fleet. "Your world stands on the edge of an attack unlike any you have faced before." The human commander, a silver-haired woman with steady eyes, studied the projections. "We detected their fleet. Our forces are already moving to defensive positions." Yes, Xena's form pulsed with admiration. "Even knowing you are outnumbered, you prepare to protect not just Earth, but all the systems under your guardianship." They gestured, and new images appeared. Technical specifications for luminary technology that had never been shared with any other species. The human scientists in the room leaned forward, their eyes widening as they comprehended what they were seeing. Shield systems that could absorb energy attacks, medical technology that could heal almost any injury, and propulsion systems that would make their fastest ships look like they were standing still. "For 10,000 years, we watched the galaxy from afar," Zenith explained. "We thought peace meant avoiding conflict at all costs. We were wrong. You taught us that sometimes peace must be protected." The human leaders exchanged glances. "Why now?" the commander asked. "Why help us?" Zenith's form shifted to project their research findings. "Because while we watched, you acted. Every peaceful species that found refuge in your territory, every civilian you evacuated regardless of their origin, every distress call you answered without hesitation. You became the guardians we never knew we needed." Teams of luminary engineers were already working with human technicians, integrating their advanced defensive systems into Earth's orbital platforms. The crystalline technology merged seamlessly with human engineering, creating hybrid systems more effective than either species could have achieved alone. "Our weapons," a human admiral began, but Zenith interrupted gently. "Keep them. We offer no weapons. They are not our way. Instead, we offer the means to protect, to defend, to save lives. Your courage combined with our technology will create something unprecedented, a force dedicated purely to defense." The integration proceeded with remarkable speed. Human tactical systems, designed to track threats, now incorporated luminary sensors that could detect ships light years away. Their medical facilities, already impressive by galactic standards, were transformed by crystalline healing technology. A young human engineer gasped as she successfully merged their shield systems. The resulting barrier could withstand forces that would have previously destroyed an entire fleet. "This is amazing," she whispered. "Why didn't you share this technology before?" "Because," Zenith responded, their form dimming slightly with regret, "we had to learn what you seemed to know instinctively, that having the power to help others creates an obligation to do so." As the last systems came online, the combined human luminary defense network activated. The shield grid sparkled like a web of starlight around Earth, beautiful and impenetrable. Long-range sensors, enhanced by luminary crystals, provided perfect clarity of the approaching Vorax fleet. The human commander stood at her command station, watching as her forces integrated the new technology with practiced efficiency. "We've never fought alongside allies with capabilities like yours," she noted. "And we," Zenith responded, their form bright with certainty, "have never had allies who understood so deeply what it means to protect others." Perhaps that is why this moment was destined to come. The first test of the Human Luminary Alliance came sooner than expected. A Vorax scout group attacked a research outpost in the Centauri system, clearly expecting to find easy prey. Instead, they encountered something unprecedented: human tactical precision enhanced by luminary technology. The outpost's new shield grid activated automatically, its crystalline matrix absorbing the initial barrage without straying. The human defenders responded not with immediate counterattack, but with a carefully coordinated defensive pattern they had developed alongside their luminary advisors. Zenith above clouds observed from the command center as the human captain made her decision. "Launch rescue shuttles to the civilian section," she ordered. "The shield will hold. Let's show them what this partnership can do." The rescue operation demonstrated everything the luminary had come to admire about humanity, now enhanced by their shared capabilities. Human ships, their hulls reinforced with crystalline lattices, created a protective corridor. Luminary healing crystals, integrated into human medical bays, stood ready to treat any injuries. "You could disable their ships," Zenith noted, watching the human tactical display. "Your weapons have the range." The captain nodded. "We could, but then we'd have to rescue their crews too. Sometimes the best victory is the one that teaches the most lessons." She transmitted a clear message to the Vorax vessels. "You are outmatched. Withdraw." The Vorax ships, facing a defense they couldn't penetrate and opponents they couldn't intimidate, retreated. Not a single life was lost on either side. Afterward, in the debriefing chamber, human and luminary leaders shared their observations. The humans had initially struggled with the luminary's reluctance to engage in direct conflict, while the luminary had found human aggressive instincts unsettling. But together, they had found a middle path. "Your defensive technology is remarkable," the human tactical officer commented, her holographic simulations showing how the crystalline shields had performed. "But it's not just about the technology, is it? It's about the philosophy behind it." Zenith's form brightened in agreement. "Just as your protective instincts are about more than tactics. We each held part of the solution, but neither of us saw the whole picture." The learning continued in both directions. Human engineers, working with luminary crystal shapers, developed new applications for the alien technology. They created early warning systems that could detect hostile intent before a shot was fired, and automated rescue protocols that could save lives even in the heat of battle. The luminary, in turn, began to understand the human concept of deterrence. Sometimes, the strongest defense was making sure an attack never began. Their presence alongside humanity sent a clear message throughout the galaxy. The era of preying on peaceful species was ending. As news of the successful defense spread, other species took notice. The Meridians, long hesitant to share their advanced biological knowledge, began working with human luminary medical teams. The floaters offered their atmospheric manipulation expertise to help establish better planetary defenses. Each species brought their own strengths to the growing alliance. "We're creating something new," Zenith observed during a quiet moment with the human commander. "Not just a defensive network, but a new way of existing in the galaxy." The commander smiled, watching as a group of human cadets learned luminary, crystal-focusing techniques. "Your people taught us that strength doesn't always mean weapons. We taught you that peace sometimes needs protectors. Seems like a fair trade." In orbital shipyards above Earth, new vessels took shape, their designs reflecting both species' influences. Human ships, once built purely for war or commerce, now incorporated luminary healing chambers and refugee facilities alongside their defensive capabilities. Luminary vessels, previously designed only for observation, gained human-designed tactical systems and rescue equipment. Perhaps, Zenith recorded in their personal log that evening, "This is what true peace looks like, not the absence of capability, but the wisdom to know how best to use it." One standard galactic year after the Luminari chose to stand with humanity, Zenith above clouds stood before the combined council of species. The chamber, a marvel of cooperative engineering, reflected the changes sweeping through known space. Crystalline architecture merged seamlessly with human engineering, while representatives from dozens of species sat together in an unprecedented gathering. "The galaxy has changed," Zenith began, their form shifting through shades of blue and gold. "Not through conquest or conflict, but through a simple realization. Peace and strength are not opposites, but companions. The evidence of this transformation surrounded them. In the space lanes, once haunted by Vorax raiders, joint human luminary patrols maintained safe corridors for civilian traffic. Research stations hosted scientists from previously isolated species, sharing knowledge that had been hoarded for generations. The Vorax themselves had withdrawn to their core systems, their predatory expansion halted by the new alliance's defensive network. A human delegate rose to speak, her uniform displaying both Earth's insignia and a luminary crystal of partnership. When we first reached the stars, we prepared for war because that's what history taught us to expect. Instead, we found a purpose to protect those who choose peace. The Council's displays showed real-time data from across the galaxy. Merchant ships traveled with confidence, protected by shields developed through human luminary cooperation. Former refugee species were returning to their abandoned homeworlds, knowing they now had powerful allies to call upon if needed. The Vorax believed that peaceful species were easy prey, Zenith continued. They never understood that peace is not the same as weakness. They never imagined that the galaxy's most peaceful species would find common cause with its most protective one. In orbital dockyards throughout human space, a new class of ships took shape. They carried no weapons, but their defensive capabilities were unmatched. Designed for rescue and relief operations, they could reach troubled areas faster than any previous vessel. The Luminary had named them Guardians, while humans called them Peacekeepers, the difference in terminology bridged by their shared purpose. The Meridian representative activated their communication crystal. Our species once hid our advances in biological science, fearing they would make us targets. Now we openly share our knowledge, knowing we need not fear predation. And we, added the floater delegate, their atmospheric form rippling, no longer drift between safe harbors. We have found our place in this new galactic society. Zenith's form brightened as they shared final data with the Council. Species that had been isolated for millennia were making contact, drawn by the promise of safety and cooperation. The Vorax, faced with the choice between adaptation or irrelevance, were showing the first signs of cultural transformation. We did not defeat the Vorax through superior firepower, Zenith noted. We showed them a better way. They are learning, as we all have, that true strength lies not in the ability to take life, but in the commitment to protect it. The human delegate smiled. Our ancestors dreamed of a peaceful galaxy. They never imagined that achieving it would require us to become its guardians. And we, Zenith responded, never understood that observing peace was not enough. Sometimes peace must be actively maintained. As the council session concluded, Zenith recorded one final observation in the Grand Archive. The humans asked us why the galaxy's most peaceful species chose to support them. The answer was simple, though it took us 10,000 years to see it. We supported them because they showed us that peace is not a passive state to be observed, but a living thing that must be nurtured and protected. In humans, we found not the warriors we feared, but the guardians we needed. Together, we have created something unprecedented, a galaxy where strength serves peace, and peace is strong enough to endure. Outside the council chamber, the stars shone on a transformed galaxy. Human ships and luminary vessels patrolled together, their combined presence ensuring that any species could choose peace without choosing vulnerability. They had created something greater than either could have achieved alone, a peace worth protecting and the strength to protect.